The Battle of Leyte Gulf. The Battle of Leyte Gulf occurs during October 23rd to the 26th in 1944. The battle takes place in the Pacific theater of World War II around the multiple islands of the Philippines. There are three forces involved with this battle: the Americans and the Australians against the Japanese. There are approximately 300 ships, including 166 destroyers on the Allied front. On the other hand, the Japanese have around 67 ships, including 35 destroyers. Destroyers are fast, maneuverable, and battle-ready ships that inflict heavy damage. The more destroyers you have, the greater firepower you have. William Halsey, the commander of the 3rd Fleet, led the United States. John Collins, the commander of Task Force 74, led the Australian fleet. Lastly, Takeo Kurita commanded the main Japanese force. The battle consists of 4 major engagements within the 5-day period. The Allied forces initiated the conflict to gain control of vital oil supplies that the Japanese used to fuel their ships. Also, taking command of Leyte Island would cut off the Japanese from other countries susceptible to their control and raid. There were also engagements on the island of Leyte to sweep out the remaining Japanese forces. At the end, the Allied force had around 3,000 casualties, whereas the Japanese had 12,500 casualties. The Japanese also lost 11 destroyers and over 300 planes, whereas the Allied forces only lost 1 destroyer and 200 planes. Thus, the Allied force took victory over the Japanese by crippling their naval force and taking control over Leyte Island. Victory for the Allied force would have been quicker if communication between the fleets and the commanders were more effective. For instance, the 7th Fleet was not able to receive necessary information through the radio by William Halsey, as the only form of communication in the 7th Fleet was by telegraph. This is the largest naval battle in history, and this is also the first battle where the Japanese had kamikaze organized attacks. These attacks would be seen through air, as Japanese aircrafts would purposely crash and inflict damage on Allied forces. This also resulted in a far greater death toll for the Japanese, as the kamikaze attacks were an act of suicide for Japanese officers. Overall, the Allied forces' control of Leyte Gulf resulted in the disrupted Japanese Navy. The Japanese were never able to fully recover after this battle and lost a great amount of control in the Pacific region. The control of this area also allowed the Allied force to invade the Ryukyu Islands in 1945. With this war, the Allied forces became closer in achieving their greater goal: winning the war.